In my previous life, my twin brother, who was kidnapped when we were young, was finally found and returned home. But before he could enjoy any family affection, my father's illegitimate son hired someone to break his right arm, causing him to miss the college entrance exam. Later, he was kicked out of the house, so desperate that he slit his wrists to commit suicide. I only found out my brother had returned after seeing his funeral portrait and urn. The second time I opened my eyes, I was back in 12th grade. Rushing home, I saw that illegitimate son mocking my brother, forcing him to kneel. I rushed over and kicked him straight in the body, shouting angrily, "Scum! You dare pull this stunt in front of me?" Then I turned to my brother, who was stunned into silence. "What are you standing there for? Fight back." When I received the call, I was playing chess with my grandfather. The usually sweet voice of my stepmother, Wendy, rang out. "New, stepmother Sarah, your brother passed away. Come home." I froze. Which brother? I only had one brother, Sam, but Sam had been missing for over 10 years. Wendy gave a dry laugh, hiding a hint of guilt. "New, stepmother, it's Sam. He came back half a year ago." I felt like the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. My mind went blank. The brother I had searched for over 10 years had returned, yet no one told me until half a year later. And the news was his death. I didn't dare tell my grandparents. I just quietly caught a night flight back to a city. At the funeral, the only things I saw were a portrait and an urn. The person in the photo shared half my features, the other half carrying the strong, resilient aura of a boy. That was the brother I had searched for my entire youth. Back at the Thomas residence, I almost lost control, smashing the entire villa, breaking furniture into pieces. I gripped a golf club tightly, pointing it at my biological father, Thomas, and screamed, "What right did you people have to hide this from me?" He smiled awkwardly, trying to flatter me. "Nom, Father Sarah, that boy was ungrateful. He refused to retake the college exam and even fought with your stepmother." I was truly helpless, so I kicked him out. Stepmother Wendy also softened her voice to chime in. "New, stepmother Sarah, don't be angry. I was just afraid it would affect your exams, so I didn't dare tell you." I raised the golf club high and smashed his favorite vase. "How could my brother affect me? You hid him from me and dared to prevent me from seeing him?" My gaze slowly swept up to the second floor. Tyler, the illegitimate son he fathered outside, was standing there, a look of contempt curling his lips. I remembered clearly that year, right after my brother went missing, my father brought that illegitimate son, who was our age, home. He cried and begged for forgiveness in front of my mother, saying, "He is also my child. Please treat him as family." My mother was weak-hearted and eventually softened enough to accept him. So, I lived under the same roof as that bastard for nearly 10 years. He was the type who bullied the weak and flattered the strong. When we were young, he pushed me into the lake, used a lighter to burn my hair, and even put bugs in my clothes and school bag. There was no evil deed he wouldn't do. As he got older, he learned to hide it better, playing tricks behind my back and smearing me with rumors. But ever since I learned to use the power of the Du family to force them to bow their heads, he hadn't dared to look me in the face. I walked step by step toward Tyler, the head of the golf club dragging on the floor, making a horrifying sound. Sam died by suicide, but why did I never get to see him even once? "Tyler, what exactly did you do to my brother?" He looked up, feigning innocence. "Nom, Tyler's sister, I didn't do anything to him. On the contrary, he was the one always causing trouble with me." I laughed coldly. The dog at my feet dared to bite its master. I pressed the club head right against his throat, the cold metal glinting. If I used just a little more force, he would lose his life right there. "You better hope I don't find any evidence. Otherwise, I will make sure you die without a whole body." The next day, I started looking for clues. My brother's classmates said he asked for leave a few days before the college entrance exam. He was usually quiet and focused on his work, so everyone thought he was sick. I was suspicious. How could someone about to take the college entrance exam take leave? When I went to the hospital, a middle-aged doctor recalled. "Nom, doctora, that boy had a broken right arm. He kept asking me if it could heal fast enough to take the exam. Ideally, when he came to the hospital, his whole body was bruised. He must have been beaten by someone. I left the hospital in stunned silence. Broken arm, covered in injuries. It turned out my brother wasn't a bad kid, but someone had deliberately harmed him so he couldn't take the exam. Besides the people in the Thomas household, I couldn't think of anyone else cruel enough to do that. Later, I investigated his past. Years ago, he was taken by human traffickers and bought by a sterile couple. After a prolonged high fever, he lost his memory, forgetting the surname Dew and forgetting he had a twin sister. 2 years later, that couple had their own biological child, and he became the hated child, beaten every day. If the police hadn't reinvestigated an old case involving the trafficking ring, perhaps he would never have known why he lived so miserably, while his twin sister lived in luxury. Meanwhile, Tyler achieved high scores in the exam, and father threw a lavish celebration party. Watching the Thomas family laughing happily under the lights, my heart felt like it was being stabbed repeatedly. After the party, I sat in a car with a maid I had bribed. She had planted recording devices all over the villa. I took the recorder and pressed the button. A familiar voice rang out amidst the noise. "Nom, Tyler, recording. Who would have thought that idiot would kill himself after I had some thugs break his arm?" "Nom, father, recording. Shut up. Sarah is back. She will investigate this. If that happens, we're all done for." "Nom, Tyler, recording. What are you afraid of, Dad? The people who took my money won't dare talk. No one can prove the accusations of him harassing his stepmother either. We can say whatever we want. That idiot sought death himself. He deserved it." Every word was like a knife plunging into my heart. And Thomas, the man who shared the same blood as my brother and me, remained silent, as cold as if hearing a stranger's story. "Nom, father, recording. True, that boy deserved to die a long time ago. Years ago, I paid people to sell him to a remote mountain, yet he still managed to be found." Thomas sighed. "Nom, father, recording. It can only be this way. I'm still at Dew Corporation. I have to squeeze money from that girl's fingers. I dare not offend her." "Nom, Tyler, recording. Now that Sam is dead, wait until that bitch gets married later and the 2 old fools of the Dew family die. Won't all the assets belong to us? At that time, sooner or later, it will be that bitch's turn." The recording stopped there. I bent over, breathing heavily. It turned out that his kidnapping years ago was ordered by Thomas. It turned out that until his death, he still thought his own sister hated him. It turned out he was pushed step by step to his death because they saw Sam as a threat to their status. My mother was an only child. In their eyes, once I married and my grandparents passed away, the entire Dew family fortune would belong to them. But Sam unexpectedly returned. Naturally, they had to hide it from me, then plot to harm him and smear him in every way possible. Even if he didn't die, they wanted him to be ruined by scandal. Even if my grandparents wanted to protect him, the Dew Corporation board would not accept it. Thinking of my brother, my own flesh and blood, dying alone in this world while they trampled on his corpse to enjoy glory, I hated them so much my gut wrenched. I just wanted to skin them alive. Memories from over 10 years ago suddenly surged back. When I was 7, my brother and I pitted a stray cat and sneaked out of the villa to feed it. Unexpectedly, we encountered a large man. He rushed over to grab both of us. We struggled desperately, but how could children's strength match an adult's? Just as I was about to be dragged into the car, my brother bit hard on the hand holding me. Taking advantage of that moment, he screamed, "Nom, little Sam, Sarah, run." Then he hugged the man's leg tightly, preventing him from chasing me. "Nom, kidnapper, you little brat, you want to die?" The man punched him hard in the head, cursing endlessly. As for me, only the words, "must save brother," echoed in my head. I ran frantically, not daring to look back. In the distance, someone was calling our names. The light of hope seemed right in front of my eyes. A metallic taste of blood rose in my throat as I rushed into my mother's arms. When I turned back, his figure was nowhere to be seen. Sarah, run, became a nightmare that followed me for over 10 years. I couldn't save him then, and over 10 years later, I still couldn't protect him. Sam's short life was a tragedy until the very end. The hatred in me couldn't be released. My breathing became faster and faster, and finally, my vision went dark and my consciousness faded. New, Grandma Sarah, wake up, dear. The curtains were suddenly pulled open. The bright light made me frown and try to open my eyes. Grandma stood by the bed, her eyes kind. I sat up in a daze and asked, Grandma, why are you here? New, Grandma, she knocked lightly on my forehead. Did you sleep yourself stupid? Am I not allowed in your room? Looking around, this was clearly my room in H-City. But wasn't I in A-City? Suddenly, I noticed the calendar on the table stopped at March. I jumped up, rushing off the bed without even putting on slippers. I clutched the calendar and checked my phone. It was March, exactly the 3rd month since my brother returned home. I had returned to the time before he was driven to death. Grandma followed, muttering, New, Grandma, what is this girl doing in such a panic early in the morning? My eyes stung, but a moment later a ruthless glint flashed in them. I turned to my grandma. Grandma, I want to transfer school back to A-City. She widened her eyes at me, surprised by my serious expression. New, Grandma, why go back there? Isn't the college entrance exam coming up? I tried to keep my voice steady, convincing her. Have you forgotten? I was directly admitted to Hawaii University. I can't tell you yet that my brother has been found. Otherwise, they will definitely send him to H-City. I have to go back to protect him and drag every person named Thomas down to hell, never to rise again. Under my pleading, my grandparents finally agreed. Taking the team of bodyguards my grandfather insisted on sending, I boarded the plane back to A-City once again. Nom, Tyler, you bumped into someone and try to run? Kneel down and apologize to Brother Tyler now. Tough bones, huh? Let's see how long you can last. Through the thick door, I heard the sounds of punching, kicking, and crashing mixed with insults. The bodyguards pushed the door open. The scene inside made my blood boil. Tyler and 3 or 4 strangers were surrounding a thin boy. Someone pinned his arms, someone pulled his hair back. When I saw that face clearly, my heart tightened. He looked exactly like the person in the funeral photo I had seen. Tall, thin, delicate features, slightly frail, but clearly him. Without thinking, I rushed forward and delivered a kick straight to Tyler's stomach, shouting loudly, "A lowlife like you dares to cause trouble in my house?" He crumpled, clutching his stomach and groaning, looked up at me, his lips moving a few times before falling silent. I waved my hand, and the bodyguards immediately rushed in to subdue the group, throwing them onto the sofa. Sam was released, standing there dazed, seeming frightened stiff. His gaze fell on me, his pupils trembling, looking me up and down in disbelief. I walked up to him. More than 10 years of separation made us both familiar yet strange. My eyes turned red, but I couldn't say any gentle words. I could only grit out, "What are you standing there for? Fight back." Saying that, I dragged him to the sofa. Crossing my arms, I jerked my chin toward Tyler. "Whatever he did to you, do exactly the same back to him." Sam stared at me blankly for a long time, still not moving. I was choked for words. No one told me my brother turned out to be this silly, not understanding what people said. I took a deep breath, trying to force a softer smile. "Or should I help you?" Saying that, I swung my hand and slapped Tyler several times in a row. The sound of the slaps echoed through the hall. Curses immediately erupted. "Nom, thug, who the hell are you to dare hit our brother Tyler? You bitch, let Brother Tyler go." I tilted my head to look at him. Pinned down, with handprints on his face, he still tried to grit his teeth and endure. I chuckled softly. "Oh, Brother Tyler, is it?" The fierce look in his eyes vanished in an instant, quickly replaced by a harmless, hypocritical face. "Nom, Tyler's sister, why didn't you say you were coming back so we could come pick you up?" I took a handkerchief from a bodyguard, slowly wiping my hands. "If I didn't come back unannounced, how could I see your true face and how you treat Sam?" Tyler forced a smile, his cheeks red, still trying to speak softly. "Nom, Tyler, we were just joking. We'll apologize to him right now. Sorry, bro, today was a misunderstanding, don't hold it against us." As he spoke, he glanced at his lackeys and shouted, "Nom, Tyler, why aren't you apologizing? The group snapped out of it, hurriedly nodding and apologizing profusely. I looked at Sam. He seemed to have just regained his wits, bowing his head without saying a word. I signaled the bodyguards to release them, then threw the dirty handkerchief at Tyler's face, speaking coldly. Next time, if this happens again, it won't be just a few slaps. Get out. The group staggered out of the villa. I sat down on the sofa, seeing Sam still silent, so I spoke first. Where are Thomas and Wendy? Nom. Sam father and auntie went on a business trip. After speaking, he looked up at me once and then lowered his head again. I almost laughed out of frustration. Am I that scary? Or was I too violent when I hit people just now? I reached out and gently pulled his sleeve, intending to make him sit on the sofa. He immediately stiffened, clearly awkward and tense. I didn't know how to handle this, so I teased him with a smile to ease the atmosphere. Why are you afraid of me? Looking at me is no different from looking in a mirror. I wasn't exaggerating. Although we were fraternal twins, we both inherited our mother's beauty. He had sharper features, while I was a bit softer. Neither of us looked anything like Thomas, that bastard. Teased by me, Sam finally looked up, though his eyes were still evasive. He stammered. Nom, Sam, you were my sister, right? I raised an eyebrow slightly. I almost forgot about this. After the high fever, he forgot me. I nodded and smiled. It's me. My name is Sarah. Before. My voice choked up, but I continued. Before, you used to call me Little Sarah. After I spoke, Sam's eyes gradually lit up. I found it strange. Why was he afraid of me yet wanted to get close to me? In a flash, I remembered something I had overlooked and hurriedly asked. Did Tyler show you a screenshot? Did he say I hate you and don't want to see you? He froze, took 2 steps back, looking panicked. After a long while, he nodded slightly, his eyes hiding a grievance. I took a deep breath to stay calm and explained gently. He lied to you. I never said that. Brother, I have always been looking for you. After saying that, I couldn't hold back my tears. I wiped them away with my hand, but they kept falling, so I eventually covered my face. The sofa beside me dipped slightly. Sam choked up and whispered in my ear. Nom, Sam, I'm sorry. I thought you really hated me, so I was afraid. Afraid you would look at me with disgust. Even though I don't remember the past, the moment I saw you, I knew you were my sister. I don't know why, I just wanted to be near you. My tears flowed even harder. Instinctively, I threw myself into his arms, sobbing silently. Brother, I missed you so much. Sam clumsily helped me wipe my tears, awkwardly comforting me, constantly saying, don't cry. But how could I not cry? For over 10 years, every day I thought of the brother who risked his life to protect me that year. He had suffered for all those years, struggling to return home, yet I didn't even get to see him one last time. Thankfully, heaven gave me another chance. This time, I will definitely make sure he walks on a bright path. The school transfer procedure went very smoothly. The next morning, I went to Tonhoa High School with Sam. I followed the teacher to the podium to introduce myself. I am Sarah, Sam's sister. I hope everyone will help us in the coming time. A sudden new student caused a stir in the class. Tyler sat in the second row, his eyes glinting with unpredictable darkness. I walked past him, looking toward the back of the class where Sam was sitting. He was like a silly penguin, clapping along with everyone. I put on my backpack and walked straight to his seat. He immediately and carefully pushed a bottle of strawberry milk toward me. Nom, Sam, I just bought it, you drink it. Looking at the strawberry milk, I was slightly stunned. When I was little, I loved drinking this. He had lost his memory, but his body remembered. Some things were engraved into his very bones. I took it and whispered thanks. My gaze swept over the book on his desk. Some pages were crumpled and taped back together with clear tape. I grabbed it, both surprised and angry. Did Tyler do this? He started and quickly shook his head. Nom, Sam, he said it was an accident. I knocked hard on his forehead. He says it and you believe it? Are you truly stupid or just pretending? Reality proved Sam was indeed stupid. Being beaten by his adoptive parents for many years created an instinctive reflex to always endure, always please others. I was so angry I had to take a deep breath and grit my teeth. From now on, if they dare to bully you, fight back for me. You saw it yesterday. We of the Doof family vent our anger, we never swallow it. I silently added a sentence, except for our love-struck mother. He nodded profusely, unsure if he understood. Thanks to my presence, Tyler and his gang didn't dare to pull any tricks these past few days. But I didn't have time to care about them. Right now, I was looking at Sam's past report card and sighing. He looked at me worriedly and asked, Sam, is it that bad? Not too bad, but it will be a bit difficult to get into Hawaii University. Sam, you want me to take the exam for Hawaii University? I put the report card down, sat up straight, and spoke seriously. I have already been directly admitted to Hawaii University. I want you to take the exam and get in there with me. After the exam, we will go back to H City to see our grandparents. He immediately sat up straight, his eyes determined as if accepting an important mission. Sam, I will try my best. You really are silly. My thoughtless remark fell into the wrong ears. Tyler walked by and heard everything. That night, he knocked on my door, his face wearing a fake concerned expression. Tyler's sister, it's good that your brother was found. But later, if you both return to H City, won't your grandparents love him more? At that time, the Doof family. Halfway through the sentence, he felt guilty and shut his mouth, as if he had accidentally said something he shouldn't have. I watched him act, responding coldly without wavering. First, they are our grandparents, unrelated to you. Second, the Doof family and your surname Thomas have nothing to do with each other. So save your energy and stop worrying about things that aren't your business. Tyler's face darkened, but he still bowed his head, his voice submissive. Tyler, I'm sorry, sister. I just wanted to remind you, I didn't mean anything else. Not seeing him for 3 years, he had turned into this hypocritical type of man. I rolled my eyes, too bored to say much. Stop acting. If you're free, get lost. Don't make me look at that fake face. Finishing the sentence, I slammed the door shut. Neat, decisive. Disgustingly fake. Not long after, there was another knock on the door. I pulled the door open in annoyance, intending to scold, but the person standing outside was Sam. The scolding choked in my throat. He gripped the door handle tightly, his eyes darting around, afraid to look at me. I waited for him to speak. Sam, I didn't mean to eavesdrop on you two talking. It took him forever to get a sentence out, and then he spoke faster and faster. Sam, I won't fight you for anything. You are my sister. What is yours, and what is mine is also yours. He looked at me, his eyes full of insecurity. Seeing my silence, his eyes turned red, his voice trembling. Sam, Sarah, don't believe his words, don't hate me. Hearing that, my heart suddenly ached. I dared not imagine how he lived all those years. Just a little care was treated as a treasure. I put my hand on his shoulder and whispered, "We are biological siblings. If I don't believe you, would I believe a petty person like him?" He looked at me for a long time, seeing that I didn't doubt his words at all, finally breathing a sigh of relief. During the time I studied with him and helped him review, I didn't forget to investigate Thomas's family. My grandfather's people were capable assistants. They soon dug up shocking things. They tracked Thomas when he went on business trips and discovered that in his position as general manager of the branch, he had accepted bribes during project bidding and even used Wendy as a bargaining chip. That was why he took Wendy with him on every business trip. He also abused his position to sign fake contracts to siphon off private profits. He didn't just do these things once. In the past, he knew how to hide, but greed is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. He became more and more reckless. Tit for tat. I looked at the pile of evidence enough to send them to jail, the corner of my lips slightly curling. But that wasn't enough. How could a few years in prison compensate for Sam's life? I wanted them to disappear completely from this world. The second week after I returned to A City, Thomas and Wendy finished their business trip and returned. Tyler had gone out somewhere. Sam was in his room reviewing. The two of them saw me and smiled warmly. Father Sarah, why didn't you say you were coming back sooner? Luckily, Tyler informed us, so we made it back in time. New, stepmother, that's right. There haven't been any adults at home lately. You must have suffered a lot. A father who loves his daughter, a stepmother flawless in her kindness. I found it amusing to look at and didn't hesitate to expose them. If I hadn't known my brother was being bullied by you people, do you think I would want to come back to see these disgusting faces? The two faces in front of me flushed red, turned pale green, then white, changing colors continuously. It was quite a sight. Thomas reacted quickly, forcing a smile. Father, I've been too busy lately, and was a bit negligent with Sam. I didn't expect him to tell you. Truly childish behavior. I looked at him, my eyes cold as knives. So, Tyler making him kneel, tearing his books, and rallying people to isolate him, is that also childish behavior? Thomas choked, veins popping on his forehead as he tried to hold back. Father, yes, must have been a joke. Tyler was just teasing his brother a little. I stood on the stairs, leaning on the railing, looking down as if at insects beneath my feet, curling my lips into a gentle but dangerous smile. Then later, I will also joke back with you all. I hope you can take it. That day, when I was explaining a lesson to Sam in class, a middle-aged woman with a miserable appearance and ragged clothes suddenly burst in. Her eyes immediately locked onto Sam, and she ran over and knelt at his feet. New, adoptive mother Danny, you've been gone so long and haven't come back to visit your parents? Her tears poured like rain, crying so miserably it was piercing. Sam stepped back in fear. I looked at that familiar face and immediately recognized his adoptive mother. New, adoptive mother Danny, your brother is sick and dying, yet you won't even visit. Did you find a rich father and forget about us? She cried while beating her chest and stomping her feet, looking incredibly pitiful. The whole class started whispering, eyes filled with contempt looking toward Sam. Student, extra, is that Sam's mother? Why does she call him Danny? Is he really the biological son of the Dew family? He doesn't look like it at all. Whether he is or not, that person is his adoptive mother. His brother is sick and he doesn't visit. That's true. Isn't that being ungrateful? He has money and forgot his parents. The whispers were like knives cutting into flesh. Sam's face turned white, and he shook his head continuously. Sam, I didn't. She's lying. I looked toward Tyler. He sat leaning back in his chair, watching with interest. When he met my gaze, he even slightly raised an eyebrow. Clearly, this farce was arranged by him. Bringing Sam's adoptive mother from the poor mountain region, teaching her to concoct a filthy story to ruin him. Truly a beast, he can walk upright but cannot be called human. I smiled at the woman acting in front of me. Ma'am, tell me, how did my brother Sam become your son? She glared at me and screamed. New, adoptive mother, why wouldn't he be? We raised him for 10 years. The result is, as soon as he met his biological father, he turned his back, not caring whether we lived or died. I rested my chin on my hand, deliberately raising my voice so the whole class could hear clearly. Really? Why did I hear that you bought my brother, forced him to work like a beast of burden? If you weren't pleased, you beat and scolded him. Even his tuition was pooled together by teachers out of pity for him? She immediately went crazy and screamed. New, adoptive mother, you rude brat. What nonsense are you talking about? We loved Danny more than our own child. When did we ever beat or scold him? As she spoke, she raised her hand to slap me. Before I could block it, a sinewy hand grabbed her wrist, squeezing it until it turned white. I looked up. It was Sam. His eyes were burning red with anger. The distance was so close I could see his hand trembling with rage. Sam, if you dare touch her once, don't dream of keeping this hand. He gritted out each word, then flung her hand away hard. Sam, do you dare say the scars on my body weren't caused by your family's beatings? When I begged to go to school, what did you say? You people said I wasn't worthy, said I was born scum, born with a lowly fate. He took a deep breath, his hoarse voice suppressing extreme emotion. Sam, if you dare slander me again, let's go to the police station and see what the records say. Every word seemed drawn from flesh and blood, making my heart tremble violently. Over the past days, I had understood his character well. A person who always lived to please others, enduring to the point of making himself small. He was typical of someone raised by the rod, submissive, obedient, only knowing how to yield. I had never seen him get angry, let alone hear him shout at anyone. Even in his past life, humiliated and tortured to despair, he ultimately chose suicide. He quietly left the world like a cicada stifling its cry in midsummer. Yet now, just because I was almost slapped, he bared all his thorns to confront the person who had beaten him for 10 years. I was both heartbroken and angry. Heartbroken for his years of suffering. Angry because even when he got angry, it wasn't for himself but for me. Did I have to use myself as bait for him to learn how to resist? The play ended with Sam's choked questioning. The woman glanced quickly at Tyler and then swiftly looked away. Finally, she crawled up, tears streaming, leaving behind a trembling sentence. New, adoptive mother Danny, Mom cannot talk you. But even if you don't want to acknowledge me, you should visit your brother. Saying that, she limped out of the classroom. I laughed coldly. Truly a perfectly fake performance of a suffering, pitiful mother. On the way home, I asked Sam, "Do you know why that woman came?" He shook his head. I calmly explained. It was instigated by the Thomas family. Do you see? There are people who, even if you don't touch them, will still find every way to push you to a dead end. If I weren't here, if you didn't fight back, the outcome would still be like the previous life, completely destroyed by them. Sam looked at me, his eyes bewildered and fearful. I patted his shoulder and sighed. But this time I'm back, right? Don't be afraid. Sooner or later, we will settle these debts. I originally thought sooner or later meant a long time, but I didn't expect that day to come so quickly. Perhaps guided by the Thomas family, Sam's adoptive mother posted a video online. In it, she cried and recounted how she raised him, how he abandoned his adoptive parents to run after his rich biological father, and how he coldly ignored his dying brother. Public opinion immediately exploded. People are fascinated by cheap, tragic stories like this. Under the video, a series of angry comments appeared. Netizen 1. What an ungrateful wretch. They raised him, and he forgot? His mother and brother are sick, and he doesn't care. Truly scum. Netizen 2. I just want to know if he was kidnapped and sold? If he was bought, the buyers are also guilty. Netizen 3. Even if he was bought, there would be feelings. Don't be so cold, you guys. The wave of criticism pushed the name Sam to the top of trending topics like a storm. But at that time, I didn't have time to manage social media because the Thomas family played another dirty trick. When I ran to the next room, Thomas was grabbing Sam by the collar, looking furious. "Nom, Father Wendy is your stepmother. How dare you commit such incest?" Wendy stood nearby, hair messy, clothes disheveled, tears in her eyes, looking exactly like a victimized woman. Just one glance and I understood what they intended to do. I looked at the maid standing at the door, Wendy's relative. In her hand, the corner of a phone secretly recording was visible. Sam's face was white. Seeing me, he shook his head in panic, his voice trembling. "Nom, Sam Sarah, I didn't. She called me to the study saying she had something to ask. I just arrived. I never touched her." Seeing him alone in that circle of lies, I suddenly saw the image of his past life again. He had been like this too, trying hard to explain but ultimately being kicked out of the house in humiliation. I stood at the door looking at the group of people in front of me and said simply, "Call the police." As soon as I spoke, all eyes turned to me. I continued coldly, "Since there is no evidence, let the police investigate." Wendy panicked, her voice trembling. "New, stepmother Sarah, let it go, we are all family." As she spoke, she glanced at Sam, pretending to be weak and choked up. "New, stepmother, just don't let it be like this in the future. I am an elder after all." Then she glanced slightly at the maid. Their eyes met. She tugged lightly on Thomas's sleeve, speaking shakily. "New, stepmother, it's all right. The kids have to go to school tomorrow. I'm fine." Thomas let go angrily but pretended to be calm. Before leaving, he looked at me, his voice full of sarcasm. "Nom, Father Sarah, a child raised outside like you will forever be a wild wolf." I smiled gently and replied, Correct. But who the real wolf is isn't certain yet. As soon as they left, Sam rushed over, his face pale. Sam, I didn't do that. His chest heaved violently. I raised my hand to rub his head. I told you, don't be afraid, I'm here. I looked straight into his eyes. Do you trust me? He nodded without hesitation. I smiled. Then tomorrow let the bodyguards go with you to school. I still have some things to handle. Okay. No matter what you hear people say or see, don't pay attention. His eyes sparkled with light, full of trust. Sam, okay, I won't cause trouble for Sarah. The next day, sure enough, social media exploded again. A video was released showing the scene of Sam attacking his stepmother. His name was thrown onto the crest of the wave again. Netizen 4, this bastard is truly an animal. Where are those who defended him? Come out and see your hero. Netizen 5, this kind of person still wants to take the college entrance exam? Put him in jail. Netizen 6, is it just me who finds the girl next to him arrogant? Does she think people won't dare to call the police? In an instant, Sam was buried under countless curses, as if the whole world wanted to tear him apart. As for me, I was sitting in the legal department of Do Corporation. On the table was a thick stack of documents, all the evidence I had people collect over the past time. Just releasing it would shatter the Thomas family, unable to ever raise their heads again. The official account of Do Corporation immediately posted a long article. The content was enough to shock the public. Thomas, general manager of Do Corporation's A-City branch, embezzled, accepted bribes, traded sex for power and bidding, threatened and framed competitors. One stone thrown, 1,000 waves rose. Netizens excitedly shared it widely, demanding an immediate investigation. Someone sharp-eyed discovered Thomas was the biological father of the bastard Sam. Netizen 7, huh? Is this plot twist edible? His father is rotten, whatever, but the things he did are real, right? Can't whitewash that. Netizen 8, support. Not a single good person in that family. I had anticipated those reactions. Immediately after, I used my personal account to post another video. It was the recording from the study that night. Yes, on the first day back, I had installed cameras all over the house. The only way to destroy an enemy is to ensure absolutely no mistakes. In the video, it was clear that when Sam entered the study, Wendy deliberately messed up her clothes. Before understanding what was happening, she screamed miserably. The distance between the two was still over 2 meters. He never touched even a corner of her shirt. Just as the audience thought the video ended, Tyler's sinister voice rang out clearly. Tyler, in video call Sam's adoptive mother here, let her cause a scene at school, posted online to see if he and Sarah dare to raise their heads. What is there to be afraid of? Wait until he is cursed by netizens, his reputation destroyed. The Doof family will never belong to him. While public opinion was still excitedly eating melon gossiping, I released the injury report from the police and testimonies from neighbors and teachers in the village where he used to live. All confirmed Sam had been brutally beaten and abused for many years. Upbringing is a favor, but if the so-called nurturing favor is just chains and whips, is it worth being grateful for? The online community immediately turned 180 degrees. Netizen 9. Damn it, these people treat us like tools. The whole family is so cruel, and I was cursing Sam. Turns out he is the victim. Netizen 10. I told you to wait, there's always a twist. See? Arrest this whole wretched family, let them taste prison. Public opinion completely reversed. But indeed, karma is real. Amidst my quiet enjoyment of that storm of justice, something unexpected happened. Sam started a live stream. In front of the camera, he was still awkward, not knowing where to put his hands and feet, his body stiff. He tried to look straight at the camera, his low voice trembling. Sam, hello everyone, I am Sam. Recently there have been many rumors about me. I want to clarify everything myself. I was kidnapped when I was 7, then sold to the Miller couple in Chihuahua Village. Due to a high fever, I forgot my true identity and considered them my biological parents. Before the age of 10, I was locked next to the pigsty. Only when their biological son was born did they release me to take care of him. If I did anything wrong, they would beat me relentlessly with rattan canes. As he spoke, he rolled up his sleeves. On his pale skin were long, crisscrossing scars, traces of old beatings. Watching that scene, I sat in front of the screen, tears welling up. He continued, his voice choking. Sam, I lived like that for 10 years. Until 4 months ago, when the traffickers from back then were caught, I learned I wasn't their biological son. I returned to my real home, but there was no warmth there. My father and stepmother despised me. My half-brother secretly insulted me, bullied me at school, and incited friends to isolate me. At that time, I still thought I had just fallen from one hell into another. But then my sister returned. Mentioning me, Sam's eyes gradually grew wet. He blinked very slowly, trying not to let tears fall in front of the lens. Sam, she transferred to my class and went to school with me every day. I know she did it to protect me. No matter what happened, she stepped out first. She told me that if I didn't fight back, I would forever be trampled on by others. Therefore, as the person involved, I cannot let her fight alone. Sam's gaze looked straight into the lens, gradually becoming sharp and determined, as if he had just completed a true transformation and rebirth. After speaking, he took out his phone and played a video. In the video was a male student sitting in a wheelchair. His eyes were red, but his voice was full of anger. Victim in wheelchair, I just confessed to the girl Tyler liked, and after school, he gathered people to beat me half to death. He used a steel pipe to break my leg, then paid money to silence my parents. Until now, I still can't walk. The doctor said even if I recover, I will limp for the rest of my life. Why can he do whatever he wants just because he has money? Is my leg only worth a few tens of thousands? Did I deserve to have it broken? The videos stopped abruptly. Comments on the screen flew like rain. Netizen 11, so there really are people born evil. Oh my god, do these guys dare to disregard the law like that? Aren't they afraid of being exposed? Netizen 12, bad people usually don't see themselves as bad. Wait, Sam looks really handsome. Am I allowed to say that? Netizen 13, be serious, they are talking about serious matters. Sam looked straight ahead, as if facing Tyler through the screen. Sam Tyler, what you did must be exposed to the public. You deserve to be punished. The frenzy to punish crime reached its peak. Tyler and Wendy were arrested one after another. During the investigation, the truth about Sam's kidnapping years ago was also exposed. It turned out their original plan was to sell both me and my brother to make an excuse to bring Tyler into the Dew family. But they didn't expect I escaped and, many years later, returned to finish them off myself. Tyler, having just turned 18, was also prosecuted. People he had bullied came out one by one to testify, providing concrete evidence. The three of them finally bowed their heads and admitted guilt, with no way to deny it. Meanwhile, I sat on the sofa, smiling at Sam. Being stared at by me, he awkwardly shifted to the side. Sam Sarah, why are you looking at me like that? I smiled, eyes crinkling. I didn't expect this slow-witted vinegar jar dared to secretly investigate Tyler behind my back. An indescribable pride rose in my heart. Finally, my boy has grown up. Sam scratched his head shyly. Sam, I knew you definitely had a plan, but I also wanted to help, so I just borrowed your bodyguards temporarily. I patted his knee hard, smiling brightly. Well done. My efforts in advising you all this time were not in vain. He narrowed his eyes and smiled lazily, like a big cat being petted. Sam, however. I suddenly made my voice stern. What are you doing sitting here? Go upstairs and study immediately. Sam jumped up from the sofa and ran straight to the second floor. I chased after him, shouting loudly. The college entrance exam is coming. If you don't get into Hua University, even if you're my biological brother, I'll beat you. I know. His voice echoed from the stairs, mixed with laughter. After all the commotion, my grandparents naturally found out my brother had been found. The two of them hurriedly took a night flight to a city. Seeing me, grandfather spoke sternly. Grandfather, well done. This little girl ran back secretly, did so many things, and hid it from us two old folks. Do you think we are useless? I bowed my head, not daring to speak, fearing that saying another word would get me a knock on the head. The door opened and Sam poked his head in, having just returned from tutoring. Grandparents turned around, stunned. I took the chance to call out loudly, "Brother, come here quickly, grandparents are here to visit you." Sam stepped forward, a bit awkward. Sam, Grandpa, Grandma. I am Sam. Grandma reacted first, tears rolling down her face. Her shaking old hand caressed his face. New, Grandma, it's little Sam. Wonderful, you're back. It's good that you're back. Grown so big, you look like Sarah, and like your mother too. Even grandfather, who was always stern, had red eyes. He patted his shoulder. Grandfather's son, you have suffered a lot. Sam remained silent, tears falling quietly. Standing aside, my nose stung, and I quickly turned away to wipe my tears. Grandma pulled both of us into a tight embrace. New, Grandma, good. Both our children have grown up. From now on, with us here, no one is allowed to bully you too. The whole family hugged and cried, as if finally returning to shore after a storm. The college entrance exam concluded amidst a pouring summer rain. After checking the scores with him, I breathed a sigh of relief. Admission to Hua University was certain. On the day the scores were announced, the family of 4 gathered around the screen. Seeing the result, I screamed in joy and pulled his arm. No need to wipe your eyes, brother. Hua University is waving at you. Seeing the score clearly, Sam hugged me tight, his voice trembling. Sam, thank you, Sarah. Without you, I definitely couldn't have done it. We both understood that couldn't do it didn't just refer to the exam paper, but to the straight, free, and bright future path he had reclaimed. That day, I took him to Mother's grave. The 2 siblings stood side by side in front of the tombstone. Mom, I brought brother to visit you. Looking at the black and white photo with a gentle smile, my heart was filled with emotions. Mom was a good wife, loving selflessly. Even though that man betrayed her and had an illegitimate child, she still forgave him. But she wasn't a good mother. When I was bullied by Tyler, she never stood by my side. Her eyes only followed that man, and in the end, she died in depression because of him. My feelings for her were indescribably complex, but I had to admit that until she passed away, I still yearned to be fully loved by my mother once. Sam placed a bouquet of white chrysanthemums in front of the grave, softly calling Mom. We stayed for a while longer. When we left, the sunset covered the sky in red. I turned to him and asked the question I had hidden in my heart for many years. Do you regret telling me to run away back then? I had told him the details of the kidnapping that year. The nightmare that haunted me for over 10 years seemed to be waiting for a release. If back then he chose to pry the man's hand off and run with me, there would have been no tattered tent in the valley, no rot 10 canes, number 10 years of torture, no despair repeating day after day. He would have walked on my path, brilliant and full of light. Sam turned to look at me, frowning slightly. Confusion was evident on his face. Sam, why would you think that? He looked at me intently, as if seeing through the insecurity in my heart. Then he sighed softly, pronouncing each word firmly. Sam, at that time, I only thought about protecting you. Now, I still think the same. I will continue to protect you. If those things happen to you, I would rather suffer pain 100 times over. Saying that, he gently patted my head. Sam, I am the older brother. Protecting my younger sister is only natural. Simple but honest. Every word was like a key unlocking the heavy lock in my heart. I froze, lowered my head, covered my eyes with my hands, and finally couldn't help but burst into sobs, like a long-term patient who had just finished the last cup of bitter medicine, preparing to be healed. Later, Sam entered the medical school of Hua University, and I majored in finance, following the path I wanted. During the university years, I watched him gradually become the high-altitude flower, in others' words, calm, composed, talented. Time really knows how to change a person. Sam, can you speak a little more gently? I put my hands on my hips and shouted at him, stomping my feet in anger. He handed me a milk tea, still coldly glancing at the person he had just chased away. Sam, that blonde guy dared to touch you. Me not hitting him is already showing restraint. I took a sip of my favorite strawberry flavor, my anger dissipating by half. It's not yellow hair, it's golden blonde. It's very popular now, you know. I pouted. You and grandfather are exactly the same type. Seeing anyone, you think they're coming to steal your cabbage. He glanced at me, his voice calm. Sam don't know who got cheated on and ran to me crying drunk, huh? I blushed and glared at him. Don't know who went to beat that person up the next day, even though they told me not to interfere? He laughed, tapping lightly on my forehead. Sam, all right, I was wrong. I only have this one sister. If I don't worry, who will? Hearing that sentence, my heart softened. I bit the straw, happily following behind him. Looking at his tall, steady back, my vision suddenly blurred a little. It turned out the boy who trembled in insecurity back then had truly grown up, becoming a great tree sheltering me in life. He was still keeping his promise from years ago, regarding protecting me as a lifelong mission. I walked faster, walking side by side with him, welcoming the brilliant sunlight covering the road ahead, heading toward the vast ocean and distant horizon with him.